You are Locked On Tigers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Detroit on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome into a live Locked On Tigers Postcast. I am your host, Jake Rietma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Rietma, formerly with 97.1 The Ticket, the flagship radio station of the Detroit Tigers, now with Locked On Tigers Postcast, and fired up to be with you. I tell you what, you look up the word lifeless in the dictionary and you will see a picture of the 2024 A.J. Hinch-led Detroit Tigers. They lose it once again, 8-1, the final in this one. But you know what won't be lifeless? Our Locked On Tigers Postcast show. So thanks for dialing it up and making us a part of your day and your post-game destination, Locked On Sports Detroit. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Doesn't cost you anything, and do me one better. Go ahead and tell a fellow Detroit sports friend about it. And we've got Locked On Tigers Postcast in the dog days of summer, but football season right around the corner. We'll have Locked On Lions Postcast. And of course, when hoop season rolls around, we'll have Locked On Pistons Postcast with some new faces and maybe a coach someday. We will see. But it's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day, free and available wherever you get your podcast. And of course, on YouTube. Once again, it's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's show also is made possible by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. You got to go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB. I swear, if anybody uses a capital letter, they'll be hearing for me. It's all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. So another dud of a ball game, but lucky us, we get to break it all down. And, you know, I think what we're going to do tonight for this Locked On Tigers postcast to satisfy one of the angry commenters in the comments of last edition of Locked On Tigers postcast. I don't even remember his name. I think Doug. He said we were not talking about the game enough. And you could tell we were just stalling and trying to come up with some content. So we're going to go pitch by pitch on everything that happened tonight, starting with all and every single pitch that Casey Mize threw, followed by every single pitch that the bullpen threw, and vice versa. We are just going to break this one down. It's going to be a comprehensive deep dive into every single pitch we saw tonight in an 8-1 game on June 24th. No, I kid. Of course I kid. We're going to talk about Casey Mize's outing. We're going to talk about the offense being shut down once again. And the fact of the matter is, the reality of this situation is the Detroit Tigers fan base has completely checked out. But that's not to say I don't appreciate the comments, because I do. Always striving to bring the best to the Locked On Tigers postcast. And for our pal Doug, we will try not to stall and not to drag any topics on, and just go pitch by pitch to satisfy what he's looking for, because this is just a really compelling baseball team that's playing an exciting, fresh brand of baseball led by an awesome manager in A.J. Hinch. And it's just a lot of fun. It's not like this team has 3 first-round draft picks that are basically minor league players. Although Casey Mize ties a career high with 10 strikeouts tonight. It was kind of a weird game because the Tigers pitching staff as a whole struck out 17 batters. 17 different Phillies went down by way of the strikeout. But in today's baseball, you get a couple of home runs, especially against a lifeless offense like the Tigers, and it's game over. And that's exactly what happened. A 4-run first. And if you're like me, you saw the 4 runs in the first inning, and there's no reason to watch the rest of the game. The Tigers, with this roster, with this team, unless it's one of the one random Sundays where they score double digits, they're not coming back from a 4-0 deficit. And that proved to be true. But for good measure, the Phillies added 3 in the 6th with another long ball. And we got to watch Bryce Harper tonight and see how good he is. And the numbers from Bryce Harper: 3 for 5 with 5 RBI. He had the home run and the 2 RBI double as well. And so if it's that type of season, I think it's safe to say it is, where one of the few positives takeaways from these games are, hey, maybe we get to watch good players on the other team. And I remember going to the ballpark pretty early before kind of those formative years, maybe we'll say, before that magical 2006 season, there were some really, really bad Tigers teams, and you would buy tickets based on who they were playing. And remember my grandfather, my grandma, my grandparents taking me to see, Roger Clemens pitch or Pedro Martinez. And when the Yankees were in town, you get to watch Derek Jeter, but it was never, you were never going to the ballpark to watch any player for the Tigers. And that's just kind of the team that we have now. But Casey Mize, weird outing again, at least, in a season where his swing and miss numbers have been way, way down. Maybe you take some positives out of the fact that he struck out 10, again, ties the career high, did not walk a batter, so 4 1/3, and that contributes to the 101 pitches, which is why he was out of there, 66 for strikes. But he also wasn't fooling a lot of guys. 9 hits, the 4 runs, 3 of them earned, and just not the type of outing that, I was talking to a friend about this that's not a huge Tigers fan, but a big baseball fan, and we were going through the draft picks for the Tigers. Spencer Torkelson, AAA. Riley Green has panned out. Casey Mize, questions remain. Matt Manning, AAA. So it's just like this. He said, you guys, the Tigers just don't know how to draft, and that's becoming very, very clear. But let's get your comments in. As always, appreciate everybody tuning in to Locked On Tigers postcast. And yes, we got to talk about that triple play. What an egregious display of not even Little League baseball. I'm not going to insult Little Leaguers like that. What Zach McKinstry did on third, maybe a brain freeze, whatever it is, was just a disgusting act. I mean, first and third, nobody out. Matt Vierling at the plate, line drive to the pitcher. Okay, you're going to get the double up over to first. That happens. It's you freeze on a line drive. Everybody's taught that. And it's when Zach McKinstry just charging for home. I mean, what the heck? Like, if you ever watch Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt when he has that sounder that they'll play where it's just somebody screaming, what are we doing? That's what it was. I mean, a triple play. And I don't know if he was the first to discover this or whatnot. And it was talked about on the Tigers Valley Sports postgame, or at least the tease for it. But Brad Galley tweeted out that the 1-3-5, so line drive back to the pitcher, throw over to first, then over to third. The 1-3-5 triple play had not been accomplished since July 11th of 1929. So 1929, and here we are in 2024, nearly 100 years later. That's how egregious of a base running miscue that was from Zach McKinstry. And I've watched it a couple hundred times on Twitter. I just don't know. Like, I don't know how that happens. And everybody in the comments, will start with Mark Bajote. Yep, I completely agree. Base running rule, don't get doubled off on a line drive. McKinstry runs into a triple play. He should be cut immediately. Yeah, cut him. Absolutely. I don't disagree with that. I mean, I guess McKinstry hit a double in this game, so that's more than what most Tigers players do. So there you go, Tom. I like this comment as well. Time to raise serious questions about Hinch and the coach's abilities. I have that saved for my third segment because a good friend and former colleague of mine, Pat Caputo, wrote an interesting column over the weekend where it is. There's a number of different angles you can look at about this team, or different characteristics of this team is probably a better way to put it, where it's just so clear that we've been sold a lie, and we've been deceived by this front office, by the communication from ownership down to the fans, that this is not a baseball team that's built a certain way. No, it's a team that's got a bunch of holes. And I think Caputo did a good job in pointing out some of those holes. Demetrius McNeil in the comments saying, what a day, or what a difference a day makes. Yesterday they score 11. Tonight they only score 1 run. Pathetic. Time to enjoy the fireworks. Are the fireworks tonight? I'm bummed I'm missing them. But yeah, that's exactly it. And it's so predictable at this point, where anytime the Tigers go out and score some runs, you know that the next game they're just going to be shut down. And I hate to say it's like clockwork because baseball's an unpredictable game. We don't know exactly when it's going to be. But you got Aaron Nola on the mound that just shut him down. I mean, 7 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts, 90 pitches, just moseying on through the lineup. Easy. I mean, this is an easy win for the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, granted, they're one of the best teams in baseball, 52-26 on the season. That's really, really impressive. But yeah, it's just one of those nights. Again, I'm apathetic about it all. I think Tigers fans have checked out, and that's the cold, hard truth. And that's the reality of the situation. And it's another lost baseball season here. And here we are in mid to late June where there's no tune-in factor. Like I said in the open, the reason you watch this team, either you always watch the Tigers and it's part of your routine, you love baseball. That's where I'm at, admittedly. Honestly, I love this team. I love baseball. Or you want to watch players from the other team, like tonight, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, plenty of good Phillies up and down that lineup. Our old friend Nick Castellanos, lots of good players for the Philadelphia Philly to hone in on, or you're just, you feel compelled to maybe something will change, and I just am not there. But there's just no reason to tune into this team, and it's unfortunate. But we'll continue breaking this one down. I do want to talk about Tigers fans being checked out and some of the questions we need to raise about AJ Hinch and about this entire organization from the top on down, because it's clearly at that point. So don't go anywhere. We'll talk about that as well as the tough night for the offense. Locked On Tigers postcast continues in just a moment. Today's episode is brought to you by America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel. And look, I love sports. I love them so much. Never want this to stop, but the fact of the matter is it's Game 7 tonight. So after tonight, with the playoffs winding down, we get fewer games. And that's just the cold, hard truth. Sports aren't sportsing like I want them to, but FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up any bets, anytime, any mood I'm in. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers. Some of you check out when I say new customers only. So this is for all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, every single day. There's something for everyone. Every day, all summer long. We love that. So head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel's the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Today's show also is made possible by Prize Picks. The most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports is Prize Picks. You simply pick more or less on a player's projected stat total and watch the winnings run on in. How about that? It's a tongue twister. That's how exciting Prize Picks is. You can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into 1,000. Oh, yeah, that's right. I also love the app because it's super easy to use. Building my Prize Picks takes less than a minute at that. And with the finals being over, hoops action doesn't stop on Prize Picks. Women's basketball is heating up. That's right. Everybody's talking about the WNBA with stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese looking to make names for themselves alongside greats like Breanna Stewart and Asia Wilson. You could win up to 100 times your cash watching them ball out. The Dallas Wings, well, they're in a world of hurt right now. They've lost 11 straight games. Prize Picks is available in more than 30 states across the country, and that includes California, Texas, and Georgia. So don't take my word for it. Download the Prize Picks apps today. Use code LOCKDOWNMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKDOWNMLB on Prize Picks for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. All right, we are back and better than ever on a Locked On Tigers postcast after the Tigers fall by a score of 8-1. Detroit now 36-42, 18-21 at home, and actually the exact same thing on the road, 18-21. Phillies an impressive 52-26. Casey Mize gets hit with the loss. He's 1-6, 4 1/3, 9 hits, 3 earned runs, but ties career high 10 strikeouts. And for the Phillies, it's Aaron Nola getting the win. He is now 9-3 on the season, 7 innings, 6 hits, just the 1 run allowed. He struck out 7. All right. I want to give a shout out to Mark Pajot in the comment here. I want to thank you for the opportunity to vent daily. Hey, yeah, that's what we're here for. And we want to continue to build this audience. So tell your friends about Locked On Tigers postcast, because if nothing else, we can vent for how poorly this team plays day in and day out, and how poorly they've played under A.J. Hinch. And he was brought to Detroit after a tumultuous ending to his time in Houston. Obviously, the Astros with the World Series, all kind of asterisks and tainted legacy, depending on who you ask, with the cheating scandal. A.J. Hinch as the manager of that, and Alex Cora taking quite the fall as well. But the fact of the matter is, A.J. Hinch came to Detroit. Detroit welcomed him with open arms, and I feel pretty comfortable in saying that. But since he's arrived, I think there's just been this weird aura. Aura has been it feels like that's the popular word that the kids use now around the team. And one of the beat writers actually tweeted this out. Cody State, let me try that again. Tweeted this out about the lack of availability and in the Tigers clubhouse, because since A.J. Hinch has been around, it feels like there's just no access to the assistant coaches. Don't talk. It's only ever A.J. Hinch. And I wonder if that factors into just this kind of you're left being a little bit curious, or there's just, it seems like there's a lack of information around this Tigers team. So I don't know what to make of it, but the fact of the matter is this team is tough to watch night in and night out. And Pat Caputo had a really good column about the holes in this offense, and not just the offense, I should say, the team, but 5 different areas in which this Tigers team has fallen short, and they've been exposed, is the way he put it in his column. But the lineup flexibility card being one of them, that was just overplayed about, hey, here's a team that you can play so many different lineups for. And I think that is an example of it when it works. Sure, it's great. You got all these utility players, but it's more like you've got a bunch of bad players and you've got a bunch of below average guys or 4A guys that you just throw into the lineup in different times. And we're supposed to believe that, no, this is a good thing. We got so much lineup flexibility and we can match up against lefties, against righties, and so on and so forth. The Javi Baez situation, obviously that is just a nightmare and needs to be addressed. And his inability to perform and at the same time being paid as much as he is, it's one giant mistake that this Tigers team needs to be accountable for, and this Tigers organization needs to be accountable for, and simply eat the cost of the contract buyout and be done with it. And look what the Astros did with Jose Abreu, who's a former MVP. They got rid of him. He wasn't producing. And Javi Baez is certainly lower on the production scale than Abreu was. And it's an example of an organization that was serious about making a move. And with the Tigers, they're just not there. There's the obvious ones with Spencer Torkelson, Matt Manning, and Casey Mize. Maybe Casey Mize will make it, but as a 1-1 pick, first round, number 1 overall pick, you expected a lot more from Casey Mize. And yes, it's his first season back after missing so much time, so maybe he'll settle in and figure it out, but I just don't see it happening. He doesn't fool, although tonight is a good example with 10 strikeouts, so maybe that gives you some hope, but Matt Manning in AAA. That's a first-round draft pick that showed so much promise. Spencer Torkelson, another first overall pick that is in AAA and quite frankly just plummeting in AAA as well. I don't know where his headspace is at. It's a tough game. I understand that. It's a game of failure, but he is in a world of hurt as well. And then it kind of goes along with the lineup flexibility as we've been billed that lie, but the infield is just a mess. You don't have a shortstop. Maybe Colt Keith is the answer at second base and Gio Urshela at third, sure. But it's a band of misfit toys on the infield, and it hasn't come together the way we were expected. We were told to expect, or we believed it might. So I think that is also a part of where this team falls short. And again, you're just left with this sour taste in your mouth that this pitching staff deserved an opportunity to lead this team and compete for a playoff spot, a wild card spot, because that component of a winning roster is there. That core of the team is there, the starting pitching, and there's just zero supporting cast. So you're only as good as your weakest link, and the Tigers offense, the defense, even at times, the bullpen, there's so many holes to this team. And the worst part about it is when you ask certain people in the organization, they'll say, yeah, we knew it was going to be like that. And that just almost makes it feel worse because you're telling your fans that you just don't care. And you're just content with irrelevancy and this perpetual rebuild and continuous rebuild that you don't see any end in sight. And say what you will about really this entire regime, and they haven't had enough time, and there was a lot to rebuild with Al Avila, and I agree with all that. But man, I would give anything for the days of Dave Dombrowski and Mr. Ilitch owning this team, and before Chris Ilitch and now Scott Harris running this team. It's just a sad, sad state. And then lastly, in Caputo's column, he outlines just the glaring fact that this team just doesn't have a designated hitter. And without a designated hitter, there's just one additional hole night in and night out in your lineup. And this team could have gotten a designated hitter. They could have gotten another bat. There were plenty of options out there, and they just didn't. And that's where it gets so frustrating and disheartening, really, because they just didn't address any needs. And this is what you get. You get a team that's now 5 games below 500, end of June, out of a playoff spot. Not a lot of hope. Not a lot of hope whatsoever. But we'll tie a bow on today's show. When we come back, we will talk, and I'll have my theories on why this Tigers fan base has checked out. Don't go anywhere. Locked On Tigers continues in just a moment. All right, Locked On Tigers is brought to you by Supply House and supplyhouse.com. You want to order supplies from the website that's made for the skilled trades. You can find thousands of parts from hundreds of brands in just a couple of clicks at supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com gives you 24/7 access to a huge selection of plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with fast delivery anywhere in the U.S. If you need help with an order, you can get industry-leading after-sales service from their friendly and knowledgeable customer support team and talk to a real person every time. And there's great news for plumbers, technicians, and contractors. Being a pro has its perks. Trade industry professionals can join the free Trade Master program for free shipping and serious discounts on every order. Over 100,000 pros already trust TradeMaster program to deliver results. You better trust them more than you trust the Tigers, that's for sure. Apply for your membership today and get a competitive edge on every order at supplyhouse.com/TM. Save money and time when you order online. Order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. All right, we wrap it up with a theory I have that was an interesting tweet I saw earlier today, because again, so that our buddy Doug doesn't accuse us of looking for different content. But this was a tweet from Max Boltman, who actually is a Red Wings beat writer for The Athletic. But interesting theory here. When you look at the All-Star voting for the American League outfielders, Riley Green is not in the top 20. And that's puzzling, because Riley Green as an outfielder is fifth among American League outfielders in OPS, sixth in home runs, which there are a couple tied, and also batting average, but somehow not in the top 20. So he's in the top 5 for OPS and top 10 for home runs and batting average, but that's not correlating to votes. And the fan voting portion of all this tells you, and this isn't just an end-all be-all by any means, but it is, I think, a glimpse into what we all believe to be true, that Tigers fans have checked out before the All-Star break, and there's zero buy-in, there's zero excitement, there's zero desire to show Riley Green the All-Star love that I think he deserves. And this isn't to say, what are you doing, Tigers fans? Go vote for Riley Green, because I think it's more of a testament to how much management, ownership, the coaching staff, and the lack of production on the field has just driven this fan base away from caring and away from any interest. And why would they? It's so important to heed of actions have consequences, and results or lack thereof, you're going to lose fans. There are a lot of different options out there, and not everybody is dedicated to watching the Tigers night in and night out. And I think when you have a legitimate all-star caliber player like Riley Green, not even in the top 20 for outfield, this is outfielders only, it goes to show that baseball in the Motor City is in an all-time low, and morale is at an all-time low. And I know things come in ebbs and flows, and there's exciting times, and you know, it's not everybody can be like, I guess, you know, to name the Kansas City Chiefs in the NFL, or the Boston Celtics in the NBA, and the run that the Patriots had and whatnot. But there's going to be some struggles, there's going to be some pain, but where this team is right now, where this franchise has been for the better part now of a decade, you're going to lose interest, and you're going to lose fans, you're going to lose attendance, all that. And I think this all-star voting, or lack thereof, is just a small glimpse into the fact that people are checked out in the Motor City. And that's a bummer, because again, you've got the best pitcher in baseball, arguably the best pitcher in the American League, although he hasn't been great in his last couple starts with Skubal. You've got a franchise rich in tradition, rich in history. You've got, you've got an appealing ballpark to go to games at. I've gone to games at Comerica Park with fans from out of town, and they rave about Comerica Park. And I see in the comments here from a good buddy, Dan Fedrosi here, the Lions turn the corner, have to believe the Tigers will too. Sure. And Detroit has shown it's a great sports town, but it's not a stupid sports town. It's not a blind sports town that's just going to blindly, passionately root on a team that's going nowhere. And it feels like that's where we are. So I know we're ending with kind of a I guess, heavy, depressing, dark way of closing out the show, but it's just a bummer that Chris Ilitch, Scott Harris, and everybody else has just driven this franchise so far into the ground, where it feels like there's certainly not a way out this year, and maybe something will change in the offseason. But again, you look at a major league team that's been in the lower third and the bottom of average payroll in all of Major League Baseball. And I know I have to say this every time. It's not an exact equation of you spend big, you win, but 9 of the last 10 World Series champions have all been in the upper echelon of the payroll as far as MLB averages. So it's just law of averages is what it is. So appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Wish we had better news, but hey, another chance at it tomorrow. And The Tigers will try to even the series against the Philadelphia Phillies. What a pitching matchup we have, though. That's something to get excited about, huh? Ranger Suarez for the Phillies, 10-1 on the season, 1.75 ERA, 95 strikeouts against Tarek Skubal, 8-3, 2.50 ERA. I would not be surprised if both of these guys end up at least close to their respective Cy Young winners. You're not going to see a better pitching matchup in baseball tomorrow, and probably not for the week either. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you check out that game, and we will be live on Locked On Tigers postcast immediately following the conclusion of the game, because this is your destination for all things Detroit postgame. We're talking Locked On Lions postcast, Locked On Pistons postcast, Locked On Tigers postcast, all part of the Locked On Network, your team every day. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube on Locked On Sports Detroit. Appreciate all those subscriptions as well. Appreciate the comments in there as well. Dan, I'll hang in there, man. You and I both know there's bigger things in life than a bad baseball team. We'll be just fine. There are more things to get you up in the morning than a winning baseball team or a losing baseball team. But yeah, we have passion for the Detroit Tigers. That's for sure. And wish that that passion would be matched by the owner. How about that? That said, appreciate you guys tuning in. Locked On Tigers once again in the books, and we will see you next time on Locked On Tigers postcast.